The cardboard box suddenly ripped apart. The loud crash of frozen meat hitting the floor completely drowned out the sound of the storage room door shutting. That single moment sealed Millie's fate. She had been locked inside the freezer, where the temperature sat at a brutal -8 degrees Celsius. At first, she didn't even realize what had happened. It wasn't until the store lights went out that fear finally hit her. Millie jumped up and slammed her fists against the thick metal door. Panic rushed through her veins as she switched on the freezer light, but the cold in her heart only grew stronger. Outside, the manager stayed glued to his phone, answering call after call, completely unaware of anything else. Even as he walked out of the mall, the conversation never ended. Millie desperately searched her pockets for her phone, only to remember she had left it on the store counter. Alone, trapped, surrounded by freezing air, she refused to give up. Grabbing a metal cart, she charged it straight into the door. Again and again she slammed it forward, but the door didn't move an inch. Her hands, however, paid the price, bruised, bleeding, and numb. As the temperature kept dropping, Millie rubbed her palms together non-stop, trying to force even a little warmth back into her fingers. That's when she felt something in her pocket, a movie ticket. She glanced at her watch. The final show would end any minute. Hope sparked. She grabbed a tray, rushed to the door, and stared at her watch, counting every second. The moment the movie ended, she smashed the tray against the door with everything she had. A crowd passed by as people exited the theater. They laughed, chatted, argued about food, completely unaware of the desperate knocking just a few steps away. No one stopped. No one listened. Soon, only silence remained. Then, a small boy walked past. He heard the noise and tugged at his father's sleeve. The man put his phone down and started walking toward the store, but at that exact moment, the tray slipped from Millie's frozen hands. Her strength was gone. That was her last chance. One by one, the mall lights shut off. Darkness swallowed everything. Inside the freezer, time felt meaningless as her watch cracked from the cold. Her nose began to bleed, the freezing air tearing at her body from the inside. Terrified, Millie curled up in the corner. She didn't know how long she could survive. Frost crept over her hands and slowly climbed her arms. Forcing herself to stay conscious, she removed her earrings, pulled out a thin shirt from her bag, ripped it apart, and wrapped the cloth around her hands and feet. But it barely helped. Her toes felt like glass, ready to shatter. Time blurred. Eventually, Millie realized where the freezing wind was coming from, 2 powerful fans mounted inside the freezer. Summoning every ounce of courage left, she dragged over a box and tore it into square pieces of cardboard. With her injured body shaking, she climbed the ladder. The icy wind sliced across her face like blades. Standing on her tiptoes, she pressed cardboard over one fan and taped it into place. One mistake and she could fall. As she moved to cover the second fan, the first piece suddenly flew off. She crawled back toward it, but her foot slipped. She crashed to the ground. Millie avoided serious injury by sheer luck, but her right foot was crushed and broken. In that frozen hell, the pain became unbearable. Still, she made a shocking decision. Slowly, she positioned her foot between 2 shelves. Sliding a piece of cardboard beside it, she took a deep breath. With her teeth clenched tight, she forced the broken bone back into place. The pain was unimaginable. She wrapped her foot tightly with cloth, reinforced it with cardboard, and secured everything using tape. It wasn't perfect, but at least she could stand. Searching for food, she found fries, but they were frozen solid like stones. With no strength left, she leaned against the wall and waited. Then she noticed movement. A mouse. Instead of fear, she felt relief. She lifted the box beneath it and discovered a piece of chocolate inside. She ate it immediately, knowing she needed energy to survive. Seeing the mouse searching for food too, Millie broke off a small piece and tossed it over. They were both prisoners of the same cruel fate. By now, the freezer temperature had dropped to -6 degrees. Without a solution, death was inevitable. That's when she remembered the lighter in her bag. Millie began burning whatever she could find, boxes, scraps, even her Canadian visa application papers. Giving up her dreams felt easier than giving up her life. Slowly, the temperature began to rise. The mouse crept closer, drawn to the warmth. But then the smoke thickened. Millie started coughing violently. Her lungs burned as she realized the smoke could kill her before the cold ever did. Quickly, she grabbed cardboard and smothered the flames. That's when she noticed something strange, a half-burned sheet of paper. On it was a drawing. A drawing of a warm fortress. And suddenly, an idea formed. Dragging her injured body across the frozen floor, Millie gathered empty boxes and plastic frames, stacking them together to form a small shelter. She placed a thick sheet of cardboard over the top and even allowed the mouse to crawl inside with her. Hiding there didn't stop the cold, but at least the fear felt slightly less overwhelming. Still, the icy air found its way in. Everything around her remained painfully cold. She had no idea how long she stayed there. When Millie finally woke up, her heart dropped. One of her arms had slipped off the cardboard and had frozen solid against the floor. Panic rushed through her. She knew the longer she waited, the worse it would get. Clenching her teeth, she yanked her arm upward and screamed as pain shot through her body. The mouse beside her didn't move. It had frozen to death. After being still for so long, every small movement felt unbearable. Her skin cracked from the cold, splitting painfully. She could feel her strength fading fast. That's when her eyes drifted upward toward the fans again. Gathering what little energy she had left, Millie dragged over a steel pipe. Her hands shook as she jammed it into the vent and pushed down with everything she had. She tried again and again, fighting through the pain. Finally, the metal cover came loose. If she could stop the fan, even slightly, the freezing air would slow down. She gripped the steel pipe with both hands and tried to block the spinning blades, but it didn't work. By now, the freezer temperature had dropped to a terrifying -17 degrees. If she failed again, she wouldn't survive. Millie sat down to catch her breath. She wrapped her frostbitten arm with plastic wrap, then wrapped her entire body in it, layer by layer. In her left hand, she grabbed a chunk of frozen meat and locked her eyes onto the merciless fan. At that moment, she didn't look like a victim anymore. She looked like a fighter. She hurled the frozen meat toward the spinning blades. She missed. She tried again, and again. With every throw, her focus sharpened. Her fear faded, replaced by pure determination. Summoning the last of her strength, she threw the meat one final time. This time, it struck. The fan jammed. The icy wind still cut through her body, but hope quietly ignited inside her chest. To make sure it wouldn't start spinning again, she stuffed more frozen meat into the blades. Now, only one fan remained. If she could stop that too, she might live. But her body had reached its limit. Her throws became weak and inaccurate. Finally, she collapsed onto the frozen floor. Her skin had turned purple, cracked, and numb. With the last bit of strength she had, Millie weakly tapped against the wall. Unexpectedly, her fingers brushed against something small, a screw. She pulled out a hairpin, twisted the screw carefully, and removed the cover. Behind it was a hidden escape hatch. But she no longer had the strength to climb through. Instead, she grabbed a tray and tapped twice inside the opening. At that exact moment, Millie's father, desperately searching, walked past. He heard the sound and immediately rushed toward the fire hydrant door. He refused to ignore even the smallest sign. From the outside, it looked like nothing more than a fire hydrant. He was about to walk away. Then, the tray slipped from Millie's hand and crashed loudly onto the floor. The sound stopped him cold. Every instinct told him something was wrong. He rushed back and forced the door open. Inside, Millie lay motionless on the frozen ground, her eyes closed. And finally, her father found her. Millie was rescued.